Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ryuga here with another killer tier list. This time we're going to be doing it with Pinhead, as well as all the changes of whatever the patch is with the boon totems. I don't know the patch number. I'll put it in the title whenever I actually look. But it's going to have the changes to like all the add-ons on like a lot of the killers. Going to have the add-ons for changes for Pig, the base kit Trapper changes to Spirit, changes to Deathslinger. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And before we get into it, obviously, these are opinions. Just because I don't put your favorite killer in S tier at the very top doesn't mean you have to write an essay in the comments, okay? But feel free to share your opinion. I'm happy to discuss it with anybody in the comments. These are my opinions from my experience. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Ryuga. I have about 5,300 hours in the game. I play every single killer extensively. I've played them all competitively for the most part, and I have good experience on all of them. Now, this tier list isn't going to be based on comp. It's going to be based on general gameplay. People use add-ons in general gameplay, so we're going to include not their most OP cracked add-ons, but, just casual add-ons and casual, the MMR gameplay, and we're just going to see where it goes. Now, unlike half my tier lists, I don't actually put them in an order, but people complain, so this time it's going to be in an order. So, whatever is furthest on the tier list away from the letter is going to be the one that is strongest. So if I put, let's say, something in D tier, whatever is further away from the D is going to be the one that I think is the best. But, yeah. Let's go ahead and just jump into it and start talking about the killers. So, the first killer that I'm going to put up here, which you guys will notice this is a big difference from my other tier lists, because usually I put Pig at the very bottom. Even with Trapper's changes, I'm going to put him in D tier. He's getting a lot of add-on changes. He's getting traps, to be 2 base kit, but I just think that, it still takes too long to set up. And, I think that's okay. Let it be known that even if a killer is D tier, they can still easily win. Just because a killer is D tier, that doesn't mean they can't win. It just means that comparatively to a killer in S tier, they have a harder time. It doesn't mean they can't win. All these killers can win. Just because they're D tier doesn't mean they'll lose. But, Trapper is a very fun to play killer. He takes a lot of time to set up. But if a survivor holds W, avoids grass, and they literally just do gens, you're not going to get any traps, and you're probably going to not get any pressure. A lot of good teams will avoid grass. Now, if you get traps, excellent. But for the most part, he's not that good in chases, and if a survivor is smart, they can kind of avoid areas where they think traps will be. So that's why I'm putting him at D tier. Most people would agree. Now, he's not bad, but still, obviously, he has a shit ton of counterplay and not a lot of assets to him. Alright, so the next one on this list is Pig. Now, some people, for whatever reason, think that Pig is a B tier killer. I don't know what crack cocaine they're smoking, but I want some, because Pig is absolutely terrible in chase. She can't get hits, and if people choose to play safe, they just throw the pallets and she'll never get a hit. Now, there's lots of unsafe pallets, so obviously you can mind game, you can get hits. M1 killers have the capability of mind gaming, but she has it harder than most of the other M1 killers because she has no way to, really anti-loop. Now, she has her crouch, but her crouch kind of sucks. Now, there's a reason you don't see lots of pigs using their crouch. Because it sucks. Now, I use it, and I can get hits with it. But, to say I could do it consistently, sometimes they'll run away. Sometimes they'll predict which way you're going to go, and you won't be able to get the hit. She just has a lot in her kit. She has stealth. She has anti-loop. She has slowdown to the gens with her traps. But all of these things added together are just mediocre on their own, but she has everything. That's the problem with Pig. She has a lot of things in her kit, but they're all mediocre. Her slowdown is fine, but the problem is that you have to down them to get it rolling. Now, with her new iridescent add-on that gives everybody a trap at the beginning, sure, that'll make her a lot better. And she has some other add-ons that are going to be really good too, like the one that shows people working on a gen and lowering the quality of the rule set number 2, so you can use it and they won't be able to get their traps off as easily without feeling threatened. But even with all those changes, I do think that she's D tier. She just doesn't have enough, and she's a basic killer. And against a good team, you're going to really struggle to get those downs unless you're running like Spear, Fury, Enduring. And even then, it's still going to take you time. And she has RNG to her traps. So if they get it off first try, well, I guess you'll just go fuck yourself for spending 2 minutes in a chase, and then they get their trap off in 15 seconds. So that's all I have to say about her. I just disagree. I don't know why people think that she's so good, because I don't think she is. She might have a high kill rate, but that's because I've literally seen people run out of the X gate with Axum traps. People are fucking dumb. So the thing with Pig is that if she tunnels somebody with a head trap, they're going to die. But she might not win, but they're going to fucking die, you know? Because what are you going to do if you have an active trap and she's tunneling you? You have no options besides the hatch, literally. You will die. There is nothing you can do. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and move on to B tier. Now, this one got some drastic changes. Let's go ahead and throw him on there once I can find him on this tier list, because apparently I am blind. There he is. Spooky Hat Man, aka Deathslinger. Now, they nuked the shit out of his ADS, and they gave him a massive tear radius. So not only does he have a hard time getting to people as a 110 killer, but now he has to actually hold up his gun like Huntress, and then he has to slowly lower it, and you can't M1. All the changes to Deathslinger were really fucking bad. They changed him in the wrong way. And what I mean by that is he needs something in his kit if he's going to be a 32-meter killer, and he's going to have a windup. What differentiates him from Huntress now, besides the fact that, you know, after he misses, now he has to reload, and he has a 32-meter tear radius. Like, these changes completely annihilated him. Now, I get it, people don't find him fun to play against, but at the same time, you know, maybe there can be a trade-off to where we can give him something more for his kit. Like, maybe he can throw, like, a spike trap on a generator that can, I don't know, blow it up if Survivor touches it. I don't know. Like, maybe he can have a horse. Lots of people were saying give him a horse he can run around on. But, like, they just nuked what made him good, which was his quickscoping. And now he really has nothing. So I'd still think because he has range, he's better than a lot of killers. Well, not really a lot of killers, like 2 others. But he's just not good anymore. I never liked playing him. I liked going against him, but I mean, now he just feels so sluggish to play. And I just don't think he's going to be as good as he was. Rip Deathslinger. So next on the list is Clown. And we are going in, like I said, ascending order. So that means I think Pig is better than Trapper, Deathslinger better than all of them, and then Clown better than all of those. So I know people think that Clown is one of the worst killers, which, you know, he kind of is. But if you play with his bottles very, very strategically, interchanging between the fast and the slow, you can actually close loops very easily. Play it very similar to Freddy, it just takes a little bit longer. The difference between him and Freddy is that Clown has a speed boost, so he's actually able to catch people easier. All you have to do is throw 1 bottle to slow, and then 1 bottle to speed you up, and then run around the loop and you get a hit. Now, the problem with him, obviously, is that if they just throw pallets, you're kind of shit out of luck. But he also has the ability to move around the map a little bit faster, and you may be thinking, but it takes so long, you're going to have to reload a lot. You know, what I do is I throw my bottles in a straight line wherever I'm going, and once I'm running out of bottles, I'll chuck them way ahead of me, and as I'm speeding up, I will reload as I'm walking forward, which will cause me to run into the gas even more. So I'm just going to be sped up without really losing any distance at all, and that just lets you use your bottles for distance very easily. And as long as you're picking good times to reload, and you use your bottles well during chase, you can cut off loops like Killer Shack very easily. So he has a decent amount in his kit. He's a simple M1 killer, and he is very good at counter loop. So that's why I put him in C tier. He doesn't have any strong map mobility, so that's why he's not any higher. But I feel pretty comfortable putting him here. He has decent add-ons, so there's not much else to add. You know, simple killer with some counter loop. So let's go ahead and move on to the next killer. We're going to put Myers. So, I love Myers. I think his power is super unique. But the problem with him is his tier 1. His tier 1 takes 7 billion years to get out of. Now, unfortunately, the beginning of the game where you can apply the most pressure is the most important. And when you're slow, you have no tear radius, and you have 0 lunge, and you have to sit there and stalk people and lose all of your distance, you suck. Now, when you get to tier 2 and tier 3, now we're talking. But but his tier 1 is the sole reason that I put him as low as I do. If he didn't have a tier 1 and he started in tier 2, I'd probably put him in like B tier. Because in tier 3, he has faster vaulting, a long lunge, a big tear radius can confuse survivors on a, even his small tear radius. Small and big tear radius can be confusing, especially on small maps. So, and indoor maps. But he just has to take too long to get there. And his tier 3 doesn't last that long. But if you put on add-ons, like I like to put on the bow tie, he becomes extremely strong in tier 3. And I think that's his asset. But unfortunately, getting to tier 3, like I said, takes too long, and that is why he is C tier. He's very strong, fun to play in loops, long lunge, faster vaulting, but, he takes too long to ramp up. And by the time you ramp up, sometimes you just lose your pressure, and you're SOL. But still a decent killer. Next on this list is Plague. Now, some people think that Plague is some B tier, A tier goddess. No. She is just not that good. You have to spend a while to infect people. Now, she has better add-ons. I need to experiment more with her from the changes that she's had from the PTB, but I'm still going to keep her here for now. But she has to infect people, and then she has to, get a hit on them. And that's, she has no anti-loop. Unless she gets her fountain. But she only starts with 1 fountain. Now you have to ask yourself, are you going to use add-ons to start with 2 or 3? If you can, sure, that's fine. But if you have tiles, like jungle gems, then she's actually very easy to loop. She slows down a bit when charging her puke. Now, this has been reduced on the PTB. So like I said, I'm going to need more experience playing her from the changes. But, she has to respect every single pallet. As long as you have a jungle gem, some kind of wall, some kind of window, she's pretty loopable, even with her power. And you can spend 2 to 3 minutes trying to puke on every survivor, get everybody infected in one shot. But what happens when they all cleanse? Now they're all healthy, you have 0 pressure, and even if you get your spit, what are you going to do when you're chasing one survivor? Is your spit going to magically down them in 2 seconds and also pressure the other 3 survivors? It's not. And that's why I don't think that Plague is as good as people say. She still has her strengths, obviously, and her puke can be very strong in a lot of places on the map, dead zones. Incredibly strong, especially with add-ons. But for the most part, it just lacks the same pressure that other ranged killers have. Because it's just not a consistent thing. And she has to mad respect pallets. And people can use that to their advantage, and they can, loop the shit out of her. And if you say you can't loop the red spit, well, this is my invitation for you to get good. Because I'm sorry, but you definitely can loop her when she has her red spit. Alright. Next on the list is Ghostface. Now, Ghostface is a very weird killer. Not a lot of people play him to his strength, and he got a slight buff. Now his default charging or recharge is slightly faster, which is cool. He's a stealth killer, so he can get hits very easily, unless Spine Chill, but then you can just moonwalk. And his stalking, if you play in a stalk style, is also very good. If you can use his stalk in loops while in chase, which I can. A lot of people say his stalking is useless. It's not. You can stalk people mid-chase if you're lenient. It takes like 2 to 3 seconds to expose them. And if they're about to expose you, all you have to do is crouch, and it probably will reset the expose on you. Then you can make sure they're exposed. You can ignore Dead Hard. You can ignore... Yeah, that's pretty much it. So once they're one-shot, they can't get that speed boost from being hit. And, he's a decent killer if you know how to play his stalking correctly. I think his stalking is better than his hit-and-run playstyle. Some people will disagree, but if you get good at stalking, he's a very good killer with a pretty simple power. Now, let's go ahead and move on to his distant cousin, the Wraith. Some people think Wraith is god tier now because he has speed. I disagree. I think Wraith is very good. He has very good add-ons, but the problem with Wraith is that if people have eyes, as long as they're paying attention and always have a way out, he's not going to always be able to get free hits as people claim. If you're playing against Wraith, your best bet is to do gens early that he can sneak up on you on and save out in the open gens for, you know, when you need to be able to see him coming. Now, of course, indoor maps, yeah, sure, he's good. Like, indoor maps are good for a lot of killers. So, once you have a pallet, he's kind of useless. Like, sure, he has a little bit of anti-loot by uncloaking and his speed boost, but people give it far more credit than it deserves, I think. But once he's out of cloak, he has pretty much nothing. On top of that, if you run flashbangs, by the way, you fucking poop on Wraith. You can burn him from literally anywhere. Now, the good thing is, like I said, Wraith has a lot of great add-ons. You know, you're able to sneak up on people, you can have faster uncloak, you can have faster movement speed while cloaked, you can have free mangled, you can have wall hacks, you can have generator hacks, you can have silent bell. Very, very good add-ons. So I think that he is at the top of the C tier. Relatively strong killer, but, you know, obviously pallets are his weakness because he is still considered a very simple M1 killer. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the next tier. Huntress, I'm going to put at the bottom of the B tier because, first of all, she's 110. And 110 killers usually struggle. And the problem with Huntress is the mind game at pallets. If you guess wrong at pallets, then you pretty much lose all of your distance. And the mind game that comes with Huntress is, when you go to a pallet, is she going to wind up or is she not going to wind up? That's pretty much it. Now, if you are against a good Huntress, they can get very, very long shots and zone you by holding her hatchet. That's why she's up here, because her hatchets are very threatening even from, you know, pretty large distances, and you have to be careful on your pathing because she can zone you very, very, very well. A lot better than Deathslinger because she doesn't have to reload all the time, and she can mind game windows pretty easily. If she has line of sight of you and a window, you're not going to vault that window or you're going to get hit. So she has a lot of things to her strength, but unfortunately she lacks the movement speed and map pressure to put her any higher. Her hatchets, like I said, are very threatening. I hate going against Huntress. I think she's not fun to play against, personally, because I just think hatchets are really unfun. They sometimes look like they hit you around corners. It's just, to me, not a fun experience, but no, she has a decent amount of things in her kit to make up for the fact that she has no map pressure, but she's not very good at the 1v4. She's good at a 1v1. She could be fun. You can get snipes, but for the most part, bottom of the barrel for B. The next that we're going to put is going to be the Trickster. Yes, I think Trickster is better than Huntress because, first of all, you don't have to precisely really aim, and you can shred a survivor if they're in melee. I mean, Huntress can kind of do it too, but the difference between her and Trickster is that Trickster doesn't have to stop firing his blades. So when you're aiming at somebody and you're hitting them with blades, once you injure them, you're still throwing your blade, so you're automatically getting laceration even as they're getting injured. So as long as you're completely accurate with your blades, which a lot of people aren't, that's what I noticed. That's why Trickster got changed in the first place. If you like watch me play him before he got changed, he was really strong because I could aim. But the problem with him is that other people sucked at aiming and they blamed it on the killer and said that Trickster sucked, so they changed him again. But now he's just really strong when it comes to his laceration over loops. If there's no wall, you're pretty much going to die. And his main event is also very strong for lasering down a survivor. And he is also extremely good at camping hooks. Because of the way his knives and laceration work, he is extremely good at just confirming hook stages and intercepting people going for saves. Because if he's just wailing you with knives, you're not going to be able to farm in his face. It makes it literally impossible to unhook. So that's why I think that he's better than Huntress. I think that they're relatively similar in power, but I think that Trickster has a lot more up his sleeve. No pun intended, him being the Trickster and all. But I just think he's better. Just slightly. So we'll leave it at that. Next killer on the tier list is Legion. Now, Legion is a very complex killer, and people always call me biased because I main Legion. Like, yeah, sure, I main Legion, but I think you guys forget I also play every single other killer on this playlist, or this tier list. I play every killer in the game to their highest potential. You know, I don't know why I would be biased on Legion. Like, I know his strength. I would know his strength because I play him more than everybody else. So let's talk about why I think he's B tier and why I don't think he's the worst killer in the game, like a lot of people do for whatever reason. He has the ability to get free injuries literally anywhere, no matter what. And that already makes him better than all the killers below him, because that completely cancels one part of what makes chases hard, which is getting to injured states. Because it's just difficult, let's be real. The part that makes chases hard is having to hit them and having to hit them again. That's why people like one-shot killers. And aside from that, once you hit a survivor, you're able to, you know, chain his power, hit more survivors, and they're forced to mend. That's already more built-in slowdown than half the killers on this list. Better, more built-in slowdown than, you know, Pig, for example. People put Pig so high because of her slowdown. Legion's slowdown is just as good. You know, if you stab people, they're mending for 12 seconds. They can't do anything. And if you have mend add-ons, then they're going to be mending for even longer. And it doesn't matter how good they are. You're going to hit them unless you suck. So, free injuries on the whole team. And if people say, what if they just spread out? Well, then go watch my Legion guides, because if you think that spreading out stops Legion's power, you're wrong. Because all he has to do is end his power and then walk to the other survivors. And then the other survivors are going to be mending while you're walking to, you know, the other survivors on the team to go frenzy them with a full power bar. So really, they're not doing anything while you're spreading frenzy, which makes him incredibly strong. Now, his downside comes with the downside of all the other killers. That's why Wraith is so low. You know, that's why Clown is low. Pig, Trapper. After all of that, he has nothing. He doesn't have anything to get around pallets. The only thing you have is your basic mind gaming, which, to be fair, can be very strong. You win one mind game, and you down the survivor. Now, one asset to Legion is that he's basically a one-shot killer. And people overlook this. Being one-shot is an incredible asset. And I don't know how people overlook the built-in slowdown, the built-in, you know, one-shot of Legion. Like, yeah, he gets fucked by pallets, but, like, who doesn't, you know? What other killers on this list don't get fucked by pallets? Myers does, Plague does, Ghostface does, Trapper does, Pig does, Wraith does. They all get fucked by pallets. So trying to argue that Legion is bad because he has no anti-loop comparatively to them is wrong. And the same with, like, him compared to Plague. Plague is way different than Legion because she doesn't get the injuries instantly, and they have an ability to come back instantly from their injuries by cleansing at a fountain. And then the only thing she has is her red puke, in which she can only commit to one survivor while everybody else is fully healed. So why would she be better than Legion, who has the whole team injured and has incredible synergy with a lot of perks that punishes the injured, such as the Natophobia and Blood Echo? So that's why I think he's so high. I just think he has a lot of assets, and having a whole team injured, you know, unless they have Iron Will, they're going to be loud, easy to track, blood, always one shot, and his built-in slowdown and his free built-in tracking to find people. You could use his killer instinct to find people who are in dead zones. And as long as you know how to zone, free downs. But we're going to stop talking about him because, you know, I don't want to spend 7 years trying to explain why I think Legion is good. And we're going to move on to the next one, which is Leatherface. I think that Leatherface is a very strong killer. He's very simple. Chainsaw. Throw pallet. And then when they run out of pallets, they die. If they greed the pallet, they die. If you run bamboozle, they die. So, I don't know. Very simple killer. He just doesn't have map pressure. But he's a very strong one-shot killer. His chainsaw is very oppressive. He has great add-ons. I don't really know if I have anything else to say about him. He's very simple. And that's what you need in, you know, a B-tier killer. They need to be relatively simple, have assets, and, you know, feel good in chase. Or feel good in the 1v4. Either one. And Leatherface, just chainsaw around a loop, and if they don't throw the pallet, they die. And if they throw the pallet, you can either commit to them and keep throwing pallets, or leave until you create dead zones. Very strong killer. We're going to say the next one on this list is Pyramidhead. Pyramidhead is a weird one. He's kind of bugged right now. But He has the ability to basically hit a survivor through walls and through loops. So his Punishment of the Damned can be very oppressive, and it can be very good for zoning. So can his Trails of Torment. For some reason, a lot of survivors avoid his Trails of Torment, and I don't know why. They pretend it's going to kill them, and I get it. They're trying to avoid the cages so they can't get, like, tunneled. But people will literally die rather than actually loop him because there's torment on the ground near the pallet. They're like, fuck this, I'd rather die. Which is kind of funny. But for the most part, he doesn't really have much in his kit besides his anti-loop. But his anti-loop is so oppressive that it does make him better than a lot of the killers on this list. Now, his cage mechanic is very cool, but you don't get people tormented a lot. But if you do, you can use this to your advantage. And yes, you can use it to tunnel if you want. I don't like doing it, but it is an asset that he has. And overall, very oppressive killer when it comes to chasing, as well as people getting, safe on hooks or safe on cages. All right, so now we're going to talk about Pinhead, which is the new killer. I think that he's B tier because he has the ability to slow down the game with his box. Now, I would put him higher, but there is RNG involved with finding the box. There's RNG if, your survivors you're going against actually go and stop the box. Depends on the perks you're running. But he has really, really good anti-loop, and if you pair it with Bamboozle, it shuts down almost every loop. If you're very good at hitting your chains, a survivor pretty much has no chance at any loop unless it's like a god pallet that you can't get past. For example, the tractor god pallet on like the Azeroth maps, for example. But this guy is really strong. All you have to do is hit a chain, walk around the pallet, and they're probably going to die. And if you get Chain Hunt fully activated, then they can't heal. They can't do gens. You have free tracking. And if you find the person going for the box, you can create huge pressure because now, not only can they not disable the Chain Hunt, now you're going to activate Chain Hunt again. And this puts the survivors in just a very, very shitty situation. And he has very cool interactions with perks like Hoarder and Franklin's. But overall, very strong killer when it comes to anti-loop as well as his 1v4 pressure with Chain Hunts. Now, after him, I'm going to put Nemesis. I think that Nemesis is actually very similar to Pinhead in strength. But I think that Nemesis is a little better because he's a little more consistent and he can damage people over the loops instead of having to hit them with the chain, go around the loop, and then hit them. And then you have the zombies, but zombies are relative RNG, similar to how the box can be RNG as well. But Nemesis has his tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 3 being a lot stronger because his whip goes much further. And overall, he's a strong killer. He has decent counterplay because there's vaccines, but he's very oppressive in loops. If you know how to hit your chain, survivor's probably going to die. It's a lot easier to use than Huntress with the same lethality, and he's also 115. He threatens every window. He threatens every pallet. He can break pallets pretty much instantly with his whip if he's tier 2 or tier 3. Overall, very strong killer, and he has great add-ons as well to complement that. Now, last killer on B tier is Doctor. The Doctor, in my opinion, is as strong as you can get without being an A tier killer. Now, what do I say that differentiates an A tier killer between a B tier killer? And a lot of you guys may know this because I mentioned it in my other videos. The difference between an A and a B tier killer is A tier killers have good map mobility. And Doctor doesn't have that, but he has the ability to slow down the game via Madness 3, as well as having incredible anti-loop. If you are really good at shocks, there's almost no pallet a survivor can use against you. And that makes him just very oppressive. And if you're able to get downs fast, you're able to get your static blast going, you're able to get people Madness 3 to slow the game down so they have to snap out of it. He's very strong. And I think that he's pretty much as strong as you can get. He blocks windows, he blocks pallets, he has free locational ability. You pair it with Iron Maiden, you can even get one-shots and people can't hide from your power. Pair it with Whispers, you can guarantee, your static blast will hit people. He has really strong add-ons. Fucking Discipline is strong. You have Restraint. Calm to make his territories massive, hit the whole map. Like, very, very strong killer. Now, let's move on to the A tier. So the bottom of the barrel A tier is going to be Billy. Billy got some add-on changes with the patch. Comes out with Michaela, I think that's her name. And they changed a lot of his add-ons to be better, especially double engravings. He has some other fun ones like the pig house gloves, which I featured in a video that you guys may have seen. The reason I put him so high is because A, he has a one-shot, and B, he can traverse the map at high speeds. That's pretty much all there is to it. Very fast killer with a one-shot that can threaten people, and you can also use it to zone by feathering. And I don't think there's much else to add. You know, he probably will have to M1 in loops where he can't curve. And a lot of people like to go for curves and throw the game. But I think that as long as you use his chainsaw, you know, effectively to get across the map and use it to zone, you know, very strong A-tier killer. And next to him is Oni. Oni is similar to Billy in strength, except that the Oni is far more lethal in his power. The problem with Oni, which is why he's not any higher, is that you have to get your first hit. And that is just a regular M1. And it can be hard. I know Lippy uses play with your food to help with the first hit sometimes, so there's lots of creative ways to get around this, but once you get your first hit and you get the pressure rolling, as soon as you get your power, you're a god. He goes Mach 10 speed, he has add-ons that can increase this, and he has the ability to massively curve. He has huge control over where he's dashing. He instantly breaks pallets. He instantly one-shots survivors. And overall, he's just very strong, as well as his blood giving him built-in tracking if a survivor is injured and you're chasing them. So he has a lot in his kit. It's just that the beginning of his game, similar to Myers, where you kind of have to build it up, and, you know, Oni has to work for his M1. But once you get that, you know, he's pretty unstoppable if you're very good at him. He's very lethal. Now, after Oni is Freddy. Freddy is pretty well known. He has his snares very similar to clown bottles. You put it at one side of the loop, put a snare on the other side, make them run into one, and then run the loop around on the other side, and then bang, they're getting hit. Now, they changed him a bit because now he has his clocks that can keep people from falling asleep for 30 seconds, even if you hit them. So he has some counterplay now. The best part about his ability is the ability to pretty much teleport to any generator on the map. And I think that's insane. You can pretty much protect any gen, especially if you run Tinkerer. He has a lot of synergy with slowdown perks and the ability to stop gens no matter where he is on the map. And his ability to anti-loop is, you know, decent. It's not incredibly strong, but it's definitely worthy of, you know, being up there, especially paired with his teleport power. That, along with the fact that he has a lullaby, sometimes makes him a stealth killer. So he has a lot in his kit. Very strong killer. Pretty solid and very easy to play. Now, this may come as a surprise to you, but I think that the Demogorgon is an incredibly strong killer, because you could put portals on every single generator. You can have full access to every gen on the map. You have incredible anti-loop. You threaten pallets very easily. With Save the Best for Last, he becomes a machine. And overall, I think he's a very strong killer because he has very strong 1v4. He can get anywhere on the map as long as he has the portals. He has built-in slowdown because if a survivor wants to get rid of the portals, they have to cleanse it, and you can replace that portal instantly, so it doesn't even matter. So he has a lot in his kit to offer. I think that he's a very complex killer. He's hard to play, unlike Freddy. And once you get the hang of him and you start using his portals to defend generators, and you get very good at his anti-looping, his shred, he becomes very oppressive in chase. So I think that he is definitely stronger than killer like Freddy and Oni and Billy, if used correctly. He also has a lot of strong add-ons to benefit his portals as well as his shredding. Let's go ahead and move on. Twins. Twins has the ability to be in two places at once. And the Twins is a very slug-heavy killer. They have the ability to pretty much injure anybody, no matter where they are. With Victor, Victor is very hard to get away from. If you have Victor on your head, you're oblivious. Anybody around you gets revealed by Killer Instinct. And you also can't heal people. You can't do gens. So the gist of Twins is to pretty much injure as many people as you can. And once you injure them and start downing them, the Twins becomes very, very oppressive because the Twins can camp your body with Victor. And pretty much anytime anybody gets near Victor and triggers Killer Instinct, you just switch back to Victor and then attack the person going for the pickup, which is fucking annoying. And you can also use Victor to camp as well with the same, the same strategy. Now, the one counter to the twins is if you crouch, Killer Instinct doesn't reveal you. So that is the only thing you can do to counter the twins. But if Charlotte is very far away, you can jump in a locker, I suppose. And then, Victor will have to open the locker and keep you trapped in there, but you'll break out before Charlotte even gets close to you if she's far enough. So that's another counter. But for the most part, a very, very slug-heavy killer that has Victor, which is pretty uncounterable, in her pocket. So very, very strong and also very freaking annoying. Next killer on the tier list is the Hag. Hag has the ability to set up in a very intricate web. Once she sets up the web, it's very hard to get past. You have to have a very coordinated team in order to get through to her. As long as she is very adept on her teleporting and you trigger a trap, there's pretty much nothing you can do. She'll teleport and hit you instantly. Now, if you have flashlights and you follow her around, I suppose you can do a bit of damage, but you're not going to be able to get all of her traps, and as long as she knows the map well enough to set up her web, and she's running like Corrupt Intervention, for example, you're going to have a hard time against her. Just her pure ability to pressure the hook as well with traps in front of the hook, being able to pressure gens. She pretty much has pressure on the whole map without having to be specifically there. Like, whenever you're playing against a Hag, you're always on high alert because you never know, if you're about to trigger a trap and get hit. And if you're injured, it becomes even more scary. So, definitely on the top of A tier. Very strong killer. And once her web is set up, if you're not able to disrupt it fast enough, she will fuck you up. Next killer on the tier list, we're starting with S now, bottom of the barrel, is Spirit. Spirit got a lot of changes. He now has directional phasing. They're also toying with her kicking up dirt. But I still don't think that that's going to change how good she is. Because she's so fast in her phasing that, yeah, you're going to have a little bit more counterplay, but reacting to her is hard. Being able to phase and, mind game pallets is pretty strong. She has very strong add-ons to complement that, and if you're very good at phasing and tracking people, it's going to be difficult to counter her. But overall, very, very strong killer. Very annoying, and she has mobility, and she has incredible tracking while she's phasing, incredible anti-loop, and she can be extremely oppressive. Next killer on the tier list, which is my favorite killer in DBD, the Blight. The Blight is insane. He has better map mobility than any killer in the game, besides one that can instantly teleport, but, Freddy has a cooldown on his, Demogorgon has a cooldown as well. The Blight can rush across the map at Mach 2 billion speed. He can get hits in loops no matter where he is if you know how to use his fucking rush. He breaks pallets instantly if he swings into them. He's a very scary killer. He can curve around loops. Like, he has it all. He is a very strong killer. He does not have a lot of counters. And if you get very good at using his dashes, my god, this guy is fucking annoying to go against. Especially if they're running Rune Undying Tinker, they can pressure the map. You're in for some deep shit, alright? But overall, very strong killer, very good anti-looping power. Relatively difficult to play at first. Almost on par with Nurse, in my opinion. If you know how to play him very well. But, yeah, very fun, very strong. And the last killer on the tier list, of course, is Nurse. Do I even need to explain it? Nurse can blink. She can blink through walls. She can blink through everything, and if she's accurate with her blink, she hits you and you die. The end. She does have counterplay though. You can obviously try to dodge her, make her overblink, make her underblink. Sometimes you can even spin her blinks, but for the most part, the pure 1v1 ability that she has makes her so hard to play against. A good Nurse is like so hard to play against, and it's so boring because she blinks twice, hits you, she blinks twice again, and you're down. And then she can keep doing that. Her slugging potential is amazing. Her map mobility is amazing. Her add-ons are amazing. And just overall, a very strong, oppressive killer. Strongest killer in the game, and she has been since her release pretty much. So, wow, talking for 40 minutes really hurts your throat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed the tier list. Remember, these are all opinions. Don't get your panties in a twist. If you disagree, it's fine. I would be more than happy to have a discussion down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. If you're new to the channel, by the way, and you enjoyed the content, please feel free to subscribe, turn on notifications. You can join us in the Discord, follow us on Twitter. Either way, I'd love to have you join the Legion. I'm trying to post videos pretty frequently. And other than that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whatever time it is, wherever you guys live, whenever you're watching this video. And I'll see you guys in the fog. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.